God is dead. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. This is Friedrich Nietzsche, and today we explore the meeting of minds between Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher who declared God is dead, and the ancient wisdom of Indian philosophy which has contemplated the self for millennia. Despite their distinct origins, Nietzsche's ideas and Indian philosophy share fascinating parallels, both in their critiques of morality and their views on the nature of existence. So, let's dive deep into this intellectual journey and uncover how East meets West in philosophy. Section 1: Nietzsche and Indian Philosophy. Friedrich Nietzsche, the radical philosopher of the West, and the ancient schools of Indian thought like Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism, at first glance they seem worlds apart, yet both challenge the very foundations of existence, morality, and the self. What bridges can we build between these seemingly distant traditions? Let us dive deep into the parallels between Nietzsche's Übermensch and the Indian philosophy's pursuit of transcendence. Nietzsche condemned Christian morality as life-denying, a system that weakens the individual through values of humility, obedience, and suffering. In The Antichrist, he wrote, "The Christian conception of God was the most corrupt conception of God the world has ever seen." He called for a life-affirming philosophy of power, strength, and creative force. But Nietzsche's call for overcoming conventional morality resonates with similar critiques in Indian philosophy. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.6, the sage Yajnavalkya states, "Verily, it is not for the sake of the husband that the husband is dear, but for the sake of the self." This call to transcend the attachments and moral constraints imposed by the external world is mirrored in Buddhism's dukkha, the suffering born from attachment to illusions. Like Nietzsche, who rejected the morality of suffering, Buddhism sees attachment to desires as the root of suffering. Both call for liberation, Nietzsche through the Übermensch, Buddhism through enlightenment. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power, the idea that life is driven by a fundamental force to grow, dominate, and create, is strikingly similar to the Indian idea of Atman, the inner self that seeks union with Brahman, the ultimate reality. In the Mandukya Upanishad, verse 7, it is said, "The self is the lord of all, it is the controller of all, the source of all." This idea, like Nietzsche's will to power, speaks to an inner force that drives one towards self-realization. Nietzsche saw the Übermensch as an individual who overcomes societal constraints to assert the creative force. Similarly, the Atman transcends the limitations of individual identity to realize its oneness with the Brahman. Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence, where every moment of life repeats infinitely, evokes parallels with the Indian concept of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Both concepts challenge the individual to confront life's repetition. The Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 22nd verse. Lord Shri Krishna says, "As a person sheds worn out garments and wears new ones, likewise the soul casts off its worn out body and enters a new one." While it says eternal recurrence demands that we embrace life's infinite cycles, Indian philosophy, through the pursuit of moksha or liberation, seeks to break free from the cycle of samsara. Yet both views compel us to face life in its totality, whether we aim to transcend it or to affirm it. Nietzsche and the Indian sage, a synthesis. Could Nietzsche have been an Indian sage in another lifetime? Well, Nietzsche did not draw directly from Indian philosophy. The parallels are too striking to ignore. Both Nietzsche and Indian thinkers reject traditional dualities of good and evil. They seek to rise above the ordinary human condition, whether through the Übermensch or the realization of the Atman's unity with Brahman. As Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Man is something that shall be overcome. Similarly, in the Katha Upanishad 2.3.1.4, it is said, when all desires that dwell in the heart are let go, mortal becomes immortal and reaches Brahman. Both philosophies, in their own ways, aim to transcend the self, overcoming worldly illusions and reaching a higher state of being. At the heart of both Nietzsche's philosophy and Indian thought is the profound human quest for meaning. Whether through the radical individuality of the Übermensch or the Indian pursuit of self realization, we see the same eternal questions. What is the nature of existence? How should we live? And how do we rise above the mundane to find meaning in this vast, uncertain world? Thank you very much for joining me on this journey through the rich interplay of Eastern and Western thought. If you learned something new from this video, please kindly never give up this thirst for knowledge. This is all I ask. Please have a great day. Thank you very much once again.